Okay, so while folks are joining in, I'll run through this a few times, but basically for today, we wanted to center the screen share and the demo and the webinar on the big changes that you've seen if you've used the platform. We rolled out Flux as a video model powering some of the results you're seeing, and there's been pretty sweeping changes to the results and also some big changes to the UX and UI that you might have noticed. So for this, we wanted to go through some of those changes and then also just gather questions from the community, answer any questions you have about how these changes might impact you, plus highlight a few things we've noticed that work much better now, highlight a few more things that might be coming. And we will have a little bit of a talk at the end about what we can touch on for the next webinar, including our work in the video model space ourselves with our announcement of LTX Video, LTXV, our own video model. So we'll start with we'll start with some highlights of Flux and what it can generate in LTX Studio, and then we'll go through some tips and tricks with that before touching on what can come in the next few weeks. I'm going to start with a screen share. Cool. Okay, so I'll share my screen, and then, as I said, feel free to drop any questions in the Q&A. Let me just adjust my screen so I can see everyone too. All right, cool. So you might have noticed when logging to LTX Studio recently, I mean, as late as last week, you might have jumped in here and seen everything very different. So we've changed how you initialize projects. You might have noticed this UX UI update. We'll walk through that a bit. But you also might have noticed just a change to the video model itself powering all the results that you're seeing. So we'll start with the initiation part and then we'll dive into some of the results you're seeing and then answer any questions from there. So to start, when you jump into the project now, you're faced with these two options. Start from scratch, which you all are familiar with. There's no changes from that. There's no changes there from last time. And then we also have this new combined flow here, which is starting with a concept. You can either develop that concept with AI or stick to the script. So you might have tried both of these in the past, but there's some new bells and whistles here that can make it a little easier for you to get what you want out of it. I'll do a developed concept with AI one just so we can show a few of those changes, but you can also copy and paste the script here. One thing, honestly, I'd recommend as well is that if you are using ChatGPT for generating ideas, etc., it's gotten really good with summarizing things. So you can, drop in a large body of work and summarize it into ask it for a script. And so it's been really great at taking a story you've written, for example, and turning that into a script. So try playing around with that if you want to copy and paste something as a script into here. But I've found it really helpful just to start and develop the concept with AI because it's gotten a lot better about that back and forth. Now it's a little bit more interactive and you can be a bit more specific about what you want here. So let's say that I wanted to showcase, I was just watching that Netflix Formula One show not too long ago. So I'll make something around racing, add a little bit of style to it. But let's say I was doing something like that, like I was putting in maybe a character about someone who is a racer and he's going up against a rival. So we'll start here with a character Max, a Formula One racer. And so actually I copied and pasted a little script here that I will use. And so I'll drop that in, but then while I go through that, I want to also point out a few things here on the bottom. So here you have some different formats you can choose from, like commercial, short film, or custom. Commercial, you have a really specific thing here where maybe we'll do this first just to show. You can go pretty specifically into a direct advertising campaign. So let's just say that I want to highlight a new sportswear product um, that highlights, runners in the dark when it's dark outside and runners in the dark. Um, and so I can say showcasing the glowing highlights on the running apparel. So you can put together a product and service here. I'll put here shoes and ath athletic pants, target audience, athletes. And so you can get pretty specific with the call to action. So for example, visit our store today. You can drop in these things here, type in the tone, genre, and voiceover here. So this is a bit more specific in terms of how you can initialize a project. And so here I'm going to do the commercial setting. The main message is that we'll keep you safe when you run will keep you safe when you run. So here you'll notice that this incorporates some of the things you're familiar with from the script style, where instead of just putting that blurb, this will give you a bit more control over that. So I put in my initial pieces here, and then it'll work with me on this script. There's some cool options here where you can generate more, and so I can go toggle between them or generate more. So here I have this commercial starting with a breathtaking shot of a city at dusk, which is good because I want to show this nighttime run. As they hit the pavement, this alternates between slow-mo shots and, fast-paced shots. That's great. One thing you'll notice is Flux has a lot more diversity in shots that it will generate. So it's honestly gives you more filling for all the stuff that you're producing. And then, here's an aerial review showing a stunning light display. I want to really highlight the product glowing. And so I can like look through my different topics. And here it looks like it's going to showcase that better, like the showcasing the light reflecting off her outfit. So I'm going to pick this one. As a fun note, I've always really liked their styles, like the titles, like Glow on the Run, Run Bright, Run Safe. They sometimes have some punny ones, but keep generating more here if you're not getting what you want from that first one. So as I click next, you'll notice this is probably looking familiar going to the settings and the cast. A few notes about Flux. It has gotten really good at the character consistency. So you'll notice a lot more consistency between the frames for a character that you generate. And you might have noticed, though, that there's a smaller number of video styles that you can choose from. And there's a good reason for that. We're kind of cherry picking some of the ones that have been working really well, but also you can lean now more heavily on style transfer on a per shot or even per scene basis. So that can really be the thing you lean on to inform the styles of all your videos. So I'll showcase a few things there. I'm not going to start with a style reference, but I will do something here like gritty, and because I want to show that like dark city view. So I'm going to click next and let this generate kind of the script for me. So this is combining some of the best things from the initial ways you inputted ideas on the V1 that you're probably all familiar with, and this gives you a bit more control over that. So it kind of merges the starting with AI and the script settings, so it will kind of help you flight out your scenes in a more high control way. So here, you don't have to just click start. You can go in here and edit the individual scenes and shots here. You can also, really add scenes, etc. But if I like what it's showing me, I'll click start. And then again, this is going to be more, you can take the short film approach, a commercial trailer, an ad unit, you can really use the settings to drive the type of result you're getting. And for this one, I chose the commercial output. So it should be a bit more of what I want if I'm a brand generating results here. So as we dive into the results, this is again using a different model powering it. This is Flux. And so what I wanted to show was this like glow in the dark, imaginary product for runners at night, and it's giving me that mix between the glow and the dark, gritty feeling that I was looking for. I don't like the look of her leg there, so I'm going to regenerate a seed image here. But you'll notice like pretty good consistency between the shots. Some of the things I want to highlight is that with Flux, I really think you get much better animation with very minimal artifacts. You get much better text generation, which I'll highlight. You get a lot better, I think, diversity of shots it'll offer you when you're generating a project. And between the character consistency, text, and the reduced motion artifacts, I think it's much better for commercial usage now. We still argue that this is the best tool in the world for internal prototyping, but we are starting to see people using this for, pixels going out in the real world and using this for assets that they will use straight in ads. So highlighting a few things here. Let's just pick a few scenes. So I'll pick this running scene here and I'll generate motion for this one here. But yeah, we got pretty good consistency between the characters, like clothing and style and face and everything. which has been wonderful to see. And I'm still getting that pops of highlight to like highlight my product that I wanted to. And you'll notice for these running scenes, for example, that motion will be much more natural. Whereas before, you might have had characters that kind of skip and bounce, really in an unnatural way. The Flux does a good job of reducing the unnatural motion. And so, oh, I just regenerated that. Sorry, I'll play this one. So, for example, here you have the slow-mo shot, and it said it was going to use a mixture of slow-mo and fast-paced ones. So we'll play a couple ones here. I'll play this one popping up. And I'll also do a longer clip so you can see that even in longer clips, the motion artifacts are reduced with Flux. So here you go. We're zooming in, and I'll generate a few more so you can see. But yeah, I've been pleased with seeing the result that Flux has on these, where the videos in general don't have the crazy jumps in motion that you are worried about, and even things like hands holding a product, etc. It's much better. Still not perfect. Obviously, it's AI. It's improving quarterly, but we're trying to reduce the artifacts overall and give you things that's usable that you can work with, so it feels natural. I'll highlight a few more before I jump into the editor. One last note on this is that in general, definitely use the workflow asynchronously. Like if you are generating video, you can generate multiple videos at a time, and you can bounce between the project while other ones are loading. So even if you're in the shot editor, you can be editing stuff and pop out of it, and the project will still stay there. You can. So I'm often generating lots of stuff at once, especially things that take a lot of compute power, such as the face motion guide thing, which can take a while, stuff like that. You might have noticed here, so like that motion I don't like, so I'm going to regenerate that one or that whole prompt. But you might have noticed the UX has changed here. The auto generate button's a lot smaller, and in fact, the shot editor is a much larger kind of call to action here. But you can still achieve the same things with it. However, a few things are different. So, for example, in this control panel, you'll notice that you have location, style, and clothing per scene, which is great because often if you were to create a character globally, it was hard to really get that character to change in the way you wanted on a scene, location, or clothing basis. So now you can control style and clothing per shot. So I can go in and add that style reference for this shot here or for this whole scene. And furthermore, you can even go into a specific shot and change the style reference just for that. So I can go into the shot editor and change the shot location or the shot style for one single shot. That's really important, I think, because often there's a mixture of vibes you want per project and per scene. So being able to go like really detailed with that has been a big addition, I'd say. Um, so we have, you can see it's reduced artifacts still, it's a bit more natural, but still not quite where I want it. But you can keep playing around with those. But I'll jump into a few more projects so you can see like the diversity in terms of the quality of the scenery you're getting, as well as the shots. So as a reminder for those that joined in, we'll start with highlighting some changes that we've made to the product, both on the UX perspective as well as the models that are underlying it, since we've integrated Flux into these results. Drop any questions in the Q&A, and myself and or my teammate Maddie will jump in and answer them live or answer them via text. I'll jump into a different project so you can see a few more examples of that motion that I was talking about. So I generated a random video here about that Formula One driver I mentioned. I gave it a Miami's futuristic vibe, and you notice the consistency between the characters here. Like this character has a lot of consistency in the facial structure, clothes, etc. between all these scenes. And that was I didn't change anything here. This was a one-shot export from my blurb, but still that characters remain constant kind of through the project in a great way, which has been harder to achieve in the past models, but been much easier to achieve with Flux. And then again, to highlight the motion, if I'm generating motion of a race car, I'll even generate some that are 6 seconds long or 9 seconds to show you. Like this one, I'll do 6 seconds and generate that. Um, and while that's loading, the rest of these ones are loading too, so you can see it. But yeah, in general, I think with previous models, if you were to do this, you'd see a lot more artifacts for all the, like go raise or slow mo, and I can adjust the type of motion I want if I wanted something more extreme, or if I wanted to have the car zooming down the track, I can use that text to change that. So here, as a reminder, you can upscale once you're getting the results that you want, and then coming soon we'll have variation. But extending duration is pretty easy here, or you can do it down here as well. But I don't know if people have played around with the upscaling before. It takes a long time. So as a reminder, you can exit the shot and let it still load in the background. And really, it's just kind of it's makes it a difference for if you're presenting on a larger screen. But in terms of prototyping, it's not necessary at all for rapid prototyping for your project. Really, just if you're exporting something that you consider final. So I'll walk through a few other notes, but I wanted to point out here, text has previously been really hard. I was joking with my teammate Maddie that I was really struggling to produce any type of text with the last models here. But with Formula One, or sorry, with Flux, you can type in something like for my Formula One, shot here. I can just generate a billboard, add text, and like 4 to 5 times it works. Whereas before, you might notice that it was really difficult. To type in like a name of a month or a title scene or something. It was really challenging. Now with Flux, I'd say 4 to 5 times it'll nail the text that you want. And I tend to put it in quotes to drive higher consistency. I can't report if it's been easier with or without that in lowercase or without quotes. But I've just noticed in general that if I wanted to generate text in the scene, really couldn't do it. I once spent like 50 times trying to do it for a client in when we first came out with LTX Studio, and now it works most of the time, which is pretty cool. So I think that has big commercial implications. Since I know a lot of you are using this both for passion projects, but also maybe prototyping for a commercial project like here. So you can keep getting a diversity of actual text on screen. And even the text that it generates for background scenes tends to be more on point than before, although not always. So, you know, shirt he's wearing says Max. So it can be harder the more complicated the brief. Like this might only work 3 to 5 times, but you can still use this to prompt more reliable text with Flux. I do like the cinematic feel that we get by default with Flux. But yeah, see now his shirt says Max. So it works pretty well. I'd keep playing around with it. And I think honestly, it opens up a lot of commercial potentials because now you could use this as a rough draft for a client to promote a product. Like if we're going back to that running example. It also is pretty good with these title scenes. So this alone could be honestly tough work for people to generate like a title scene for your project, but these are generated by default, and you can always change the name of that here. Um, and you can change the name like this and regenerate a new title sequence. So I can change the name there, glow up, and then if I go back into my project, it'll regenerate that poster for me. So honestly, this even for marketers, if you're making a movie and generating the title screen and movie poster can be something you normally have to spend like a long time on, and here you can generate them really quickly, and you can edit them just as easily if it's not working out. So here we now have glow up in the background, and I like it, so I'm going to work with that. Or you can just keep tweaking it up here again in the changing the project name. So a few more things for the folks that are here. We've gone over the new layout and initiation here, starting the new project and the differences here in the initiation. We've also talked through the kind of reduction in artifacts from the motion you'll get in Flux. And we've talked through a bit of the text generation capabilities, but also character consistency, as you can see here, like the what you're getting from the prompt in terms of the fidelity to the single character. I think that's much, much better than you were used to in the last rounds. And we want to talk through a little bit about some tips and tricks, but also highlight some things that are coming up in the future. So on the topic of the underlying video models, I know that this audience ranges from people that are more technical to people that are new. And so, as a little bit of background, you might have played around with different models before. We're using Flux here as the input driver. In the past, we experimented with stable video, but we made some big news that we released our own open source model, LTX Video, or aka LTXV. And this is a really unique model in the sense that it is the first kind of real-time model in the sense that it takes you about 1.5 seconds to generate a 10-second clip. That's really important in the sense that the space we have today is really geared around a few models that are going for super high quality but have a really long runtime. So they're honestly really difficult to work with for prototyping assets. And I think as the quality still improves, this model can be really important for people in the sense that it can run on more consumer devices instead of only like high-powered GPUs. It's really fast, and the power you get out of it, considering the number of parameters it has, it's a really amazing balance there in the sense of the quality for the fast runtime that we give people. But you can see how this would plug in well to LTX Studio, although it's not in there yet. The point here being is that if you're rapidly trying to prototype an asset for a pitch or a client or something like that, you can in real time be typing out and tweaking your idea and seeing the data come back just as fast. So I think that's really important in terms of it's really important in terms of letting you really bring your vision to life and quickly iterate instead of waiting, 10 minutes for each result. Cool. All right. So, as a reminder too, for folks, feel free to drop questions in the chat. We'll see. Well, once we answer them, they'll appear to everyone, or we can answer them live. I know we got a ton last time and didn't get to them all, but we'll try to respond to them over chat and or answer them live. So just a few more things out of this, but hopefully for the next time we can talk through some product releases, including the update and roadmap for the LTXV video model itself. But we also have a number of things going live in the product. You might have noticed overall the themes here have always been around giving you that consistency in your vision and the results, making it really fast for you to get your ideas on paper. And then that I think that control element of being able to iterate and kind of bend the initial results to where you want your vision to go, that's been really important. So here with Flux, we've tried to really push all this forward. We've got the character consistency. We still have the same speed you're used to. And we've given you more control with things like text and reduced artifacts. But we do want to hear from the folks, both in attendance and the community in general, how they feel about the Flux update and how it's been for them so far. I know a lot of things have improved, but I'm sure there's some things that are different that you might have been used to. And so in general, we want to hear more from folks about how that's been going for them if they've tried the new updates yet. So we'll continue to engage people on Discord, but feel free to shoot us questions on how that's been for you. We're constantly trying to make this better, and we were really excited about this update, but we want to hear from the people who are using it the most. Awesome. Just a few more things. This is more of a short update since we were mostly wanted to highlight the Flux release. We'll be announcing the next few webinars with different tips and tricks, and especially highlighting the some new product features as they roll out. But a last few notes. So if you're dropping a script in here, one important thing is, let me go back to this. If you're starting a new project, if you're dropping in a script or developing the concept of the AI, remember to add the voiceover here. If you have like text in the script with dialogue and or narration, because otherwise it'll interpret everything but miss that. So when you go to push the project out, it'll be missing that, and you have to add it back in manually. And then there's the examples here you can still generate. But like I said, once you get to this part where you generate a result, definitely play around with the options it throws you. So it's easier to change some of these things in the beginning than at the end. So when it gives you some of these results, just cycle through some of the suggested ideas it gives you. That way it'll save you some time. So here on the left, going through the different variations that it'll give you or generating more like this. So you won't lose it. You can just generate another one and test that out. And this is just giving you some variety. And each of them will be very similar, but have a little bit different of an edge in terms of how they'll tackle the idea. But I would highly recommend generating a few like this. It will save you effort down the line. And then once we generate one, let's just pick one. Um, why not this one? So pick that one. Um, in general, when I have settings in cast, if you're trying to get variety in characters, I found it easier to just change everything about the character to really push it out of its zone, or even delete it and make a new character. And remember, if you're doing the face swap thing, it might be challenging when you move into a more uh, kind of illustrative vibe. So, for example, if I do a face swap with a more sketch style here, the face swap can sometimes interact with that and make it difficult. So, if you're getting a weird result from a character on like a more scribble or illustrative style and it has a face swap, just remove the face swap and it'll be higher fidelity to that character. So, here I'm going to create one as an example. Um, and you can use that cinematic inspiration since we have fewer styles off the shelf to pick from. Use the cinematic inspiration as well as use the style reference per shot and per scene to get what you want. Last few things. In this breakdown, we're combining the best of the initiation before with that script style breakdown. And most people don't realize that you can edit these. So hover over it to see that. You can jump in here, edit these pieces. And I want to show one last thing about the results you're getting themselves. Like, for example, in the character or in a scene generation, you might notice that there's something new powering things under the hood. So if I make a character or a scene and I just type like beach or, a character like a European male or something, if you type in something basic, you can click enhance and it will use more powerful prompts underneath the hood to get you a more unique result. So let me do this here. For example, if I make a new, if I take this character and I, add a character, if you type in something, you'll see. So let's see. I'll go with here, Bob, blah blah, age 55. So you might notice that if you, let's see, old style, oops, suit. If you create the character, you might notice as you're creating it, there's some chances to enhance it. And when you're going through that, you'll notice like the description here. It's like a shortcut to just like blow out the description for you. So you can really start with something small and use that to enhance it. So you can just save the character with or the scene without that. But this way, it will really make it easier for you to get a more unique result. I'll show you one more example. Like if I'm doing a scene where okay, I have a new scene here and the location is, a remote beach. If I don't type anything else, we'll enhance that. So you'll notice this automatic enhancement here. Now it turned my one word into like a huge description. So as you create it, it'll push it in a specific way, but then go through and edit this down. Like if you want, dark lighting, I can take this from the bright natural lighting, just type dark, and I can click enhance location, and it will take that one word and enhance that with a more let me do this here, like dark and stormy, dark and stormy. So those I had clear skies left in there, so let me say like stormy. Um, so if I enhance this now, it'll take both of those and fill it out. So use that. So now you can see it, change it to 5 p.m. dim overcast, monochromatic, dark storm clouds. So you don't have to put that much effort in. You can kind of lean on it really as that AI partner to create that scene for you. So thank you all for joining this quick session on the UI UX changes and the Flux integration into LTX Studio. We also touched on the Lightricks video release of our new foundational model, which was very exciting. It's not in the product yet, but coming soon with a blazing fast response time on the videos. And with that, we have another webinar in 2 weeks, and we will be communicating in the Discord channel about the topics and also taking cues from you all. So if there's something you want to see, let us know, and we'll center some of the structure next in the next 2 weeks in the next webinar on that. So give us a shout. Happy to also do some more workshopping like that one we just did with Taiwo, just to showcase some of these things together. But yeah, thank you all for joining, and we will see you next time.